Thank you for joining me. This is Mrs. Slatton. I'm here today with our first writing video. I'm super excited about it. I was really inspired by some of your questions at our office hours, as well as these sleuth articles that we're reading this week to kind of start getting our writing down. So some of the kids were confused about the topics, or they're not sure how to do research, and I want to really help you with that through a step-by-step research video. So today is going to be mostly focused on research and taking notes on our articles, okay? So one thing I want to really make clear is that you're allowed to change those topics on that writing bingo. The goal is that you're completing one of those squares a week, okay? So if you'll notice on your bingo, you have a lot of different informational, opinion, and narrative topics. You are completely welcome to change those topics. They were just ideas for you, but I do want you to stick with those writing types on there. So, because if you just write nothing but narratives, you'll get really great at narratives, but your skills with informational and opinion won't grow as much. So you really want to make sure you're growing in all of your areas. One way you can do that is by changing the topic to something you like. If you're in my class, you know I often let you change your topic based on what you're interested in, or I let you choose your topic. So I really want you to feel free to do that. One of the things that might inspire you are these sleuth articles. They give you a little bit of a taste of a person's life or an event, and you might find those very interesting to kind of build on. So the article I read this week was called The Price of Freedom, and it had a lot of information about Harriet Tubman. When we're doing research, I want you to use a kid-friendly search engine like Kiddle, or at least make sure you have an adult around you while you're doing research, okay? So I'm typing in Harriet Tubman into Kiddle to make sure. Now, from here, I can tell a lot already about my different sources. So these ones here that say they're an advertisement, they say ad right there. I'm probably not going to click on ones that have ad. In fact, anytime I'm doing research, if I see ad, I just skip right over that. Now, I also have my URL address, so that tells me where this website is on the internet. I see right here that this is a .gov website. That is the most trusted kind of website that you can have, okay? So this one also is a .gov. This one's a .gov. That one's a .gov. A lot of these are .gov, which is really exciting. This one's .com, okay? Now, when I'm on a .com website, I want to be very careful. .com, .org, anything except .gov. I want to be careful. You can still use these websites, so that's not saying you can't use that, but you want to be careful with them. You want to make sure that they're actually on topic, that they're by a good source, and that they have trusted information. So looking at both of these, I can't tell too much if they're trusted or not. I can tell that this is National Geographic, which I know for sure is an informational website. I don't really know anything about Ducksters, so I would have to click on that to find out. So since I have a lot of .gov resources though, I'm going to use those first, but just to kind of walk through checking out another resource. This isn't letting me click on this. There we go. Okay. All right. So here I can see that this website is built on education. It looks like some of the information is correct. Looking at this website, I can tell that somebody made this website specifically to be an educational resource. So this is something I probably would be able to use. Okay, so we want to make sure that it's something we can use. It's not built to be an advertisement. Yes, there are advertisements on the side, but it's not built to be an advertisement. This is probably a website that I can trust and I can use. If you aren't sure, usually these websites have like an about section on them where you can see what the website is for. It's meant to provide educational and interesting content. So you really want to make sure that your website that you're using is for the purpose. Okay, so this actually looks like a very good website. It looks like it's got a lot of good information. Since we have some even better websites, though, I might use one of those. America's Library or NPS. Let's use the America's Library one. Let me click you. There we go. Okay. So, this has a lot of good information. So, something I might notice here is that I've got different ideas of topics. So, when I'm reading these articles, what I really want to make sure I'm doing is I'm taking good notes. So, let's say I'm really going to be sure to use this website. I'm going to build, this should look familiar. Whoops. This should look familiar to all of our 5th graders. This is our note catcher. Okay, so if I'm wanting to write about Harriet Tubman, I might write something about her early life here. Such crazy writing. I might write about her early life there. I might write about her escape, because I remember from the Price of Freedom, I remember it talked about her escape. I remember it talked about her being a conductor on the Underground Railroad. And then I'll have an other section. I always want to have an other section just to kind of put any information that I might find interesting that I don't know where to put it yet. That other section may end up becoming a topic if I find enough information that can be grouped together in there. These end up being your paragraphs. Now, these are just example topics that I kind of pieced together from the Price of Freedom. Watch that video if you need more information from that, because I'm not going to go here and read all of this. This definitely looks like a really good source, so I'm definitely pretty sure I would use this. But I want you to read through different articles of whatever topic you're working on and figure out different sections. This is really going to help you from the ground up build your paper. So I would start putting information in here as I read my articles, and I'd want to make sure I note my source. So, for example, let me see. We've got her name at birth was Araminta Rose. So I would write, in my own words, I would write name. And these do not at all have to be complete sentences. The reason I don't write in complete sentences on here is because I don't want to copy their information. So if I write it as just name and then I write her name, if I just write that, then when I'm building up a sentence, it's much less likely that I'm going to copy it word for word, okay? So that's one of the reasons I like to write that. And then I want to put which source it is. So I would call my sleuth, I would call that one probably source 1. So I'm going to call this one source 2. Apologize for the really terrible handwriting on this. Really hard to write on these screens. But that's how you do that. You always want to keep track of those sources. If you even want to scroll down so you even can write that down. So source 1 would be sleuth. Source 2 would be americaslibrary.gov. Library.gov. Okay, so you want to, as you're reading, highlight information if you have it out in front of you. So your sleuth articles, you can actually physically highlight or underline. You could even take screenshots of these, put them in your Notability, and highlight them there if that's how you prefer. Either way, this is just about how we conduct our research and take our notes. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to join any of our office hours. If you want to know more about how we find informational articles or how we cite them or how we take notes. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.